Greetings and welcome, Champlain College Wave Riders. My name is Kimberly Quinn, and I am here with the amazing Professor Warren Sides, who teaches mathematics here at Champlain College. Welcome, Warren.
Hey, Kim. Thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks for being here. I'm just so pumped. Warren and I were having a little side convo a second ago, and I think we kind of decided that, all the information we've been talking about kind of lands sort of under the umbrella of the formula for student and everybody's success actually is being backwards, as far as what most people think it is. Most people think that it goes like this: once I'm successful, then I'll be happy. When Warren and I are kind of in agreement on this, that it's the exact opposite. It's once I'm happy, then I'll be successful. So I'm going to let him kind of explain this, and I think it's even more impressive that he manages to work this into mathematics classes. So why don't you get us started, Warren, on what you do as far as, the reversal of that formula with your own students.
Yeah. So, I mean, like you said, it's interesting that it comes up in a math class, because that's what I observed trying to teach people math. They come in kind of miserable. They come in kind of expecting it to be this hard thing, and they feel like, well, once I get it, I'll be fine. And I was like, no, once you're fine, then you'll get it.
Exactly.
So I try to start that even on the first day, just making those connections before the content even starts, to let them know that, I'm a normal human being. I have my ups and downs like everybody, but I want to get to know them as people. And I think I tell them almost literally this thing. I say, I want to make sure that you like me as a person, because you are going to learn a lot more from me if you at least enjoy the person you're learning from.
Exactly.
So I start out there, and then whatever I can do to bring in the classroom to make it as fun as possible, to make sure that they know that there's chances for them to succeed without having to really stress, to push hard. That the math will come, and that we should really just be focusing on as you said, well-being or happiness first. Like, be comfortable here, be happy here, and then we'll worry about the topics and the material. Not sure sort of what direction I'm thinking about going with it, but sort of, like I said, starting on that first day and making those connections, making sure the students understand who I am and as a person, and that I'm not out to get them. I'm not out to trick them. I'm not out to fail them. I'm not out to make their lives miserable with mathematics. It's actually quite the opposite. I want to know who they are. I want to know how they're succeeding, and then make the math work for them. And so one of the things that I think I do, just to give, I guess, an example, is whenever I have projects in the class, I give student agency. I let them pick the topics they want to actually do the research on, or do the work on. So that way I know that whatever they're talking about, they enjoy it. So, whether it be video games, whether it be music, whether it be even like some students really sort of get energized by some social impact, right? I want to change the world, and I'm going to study this thing, and it's going to make me feel better if I understand that, if I'm actually making steps towards that. So giving them that option to choose, right, that flexibility, I think really instills the sort of the well-being and the happiness that you keep talking about. That students are then more willing to actually learn the material, and then they are more successful. They do sort of take that as like, well, I know that I'm starting from a place of interest, something that I care about, something that makes me happy, and from there I know that I'm willing to put in the work then to understand what's happening.
I love this one, and I just was jotting down a few things because they were just little pop-ups all over. The agency thing, autonomy, is huge for young adults. I think most of us, right? But they're often just coming into that, and so to give them agency, I really like. But one thing that jumped right out from me, because you and I are very similar, I think, with our style. And when you were talking about the connection before content, right away, my mind went to like the red pen stuff of high school. And so I know what I say to my students. I know, I've had so many talks, that it's kind of like deprogramming them and then reprogramming, because and no offense to any high school teachers out there, it's a hard job, I don't mean that. But it's just a different. And there's the red pen thing is like, stay after, and then it's all nervousness. Whereas a relationship in college, since they're older and it's a young adult thing, they might have an internship, they might want to go to graduate, it's a different relationship. And I know that you work really hard at this, as do I, to kind of shift into a more adult relationship. And I know there's something I borrowed from you
Hmm.
that Warren's sort of known for here is typically professors will have a sign on the door that says office hours, and you do something differently. Can you tell us about that?
Right. Yeah. So I want to engage with my students outside of the classroom and not always about class material. So I have what I call social hours, where I invite students to just come by and hang out and share whatever they're interested in. And it amazed me the first semester I did it, that I had so many students stop by my office. And, I share little bits about myself, like what kind of music I listen to, what kind of games I play. And, you see the students sitting up and they're saying like, oh, you play this or you play that, or, oh, you listen to this. And I was like, yeah. It's like, I might have something for you. It's like, cool, come by my social hours and share that with me. And not to go too far, I play Magic the Gathering card game. And I have students stop. We have massive 4 or 5 people playing giant games in my office. And I think
awesome.
that it really is. And I think that it does 2 things, right? It gives the students a chance to, actually, I guess it does 3 things if I'm counting them. It gives the students the chance to engage with a professor in a completely different way, where it sort of breaks down those barriers. It's like, okay, I know this person is going to be grading me at some point, but I also know that they're a person, and I respect them, and I'll put in a little bit more of the effort that I would have beforehand because I know this person, and I will also see their work and understand where they're coming from as a student, right? So that's sort of one thing. Another thing is it gives sort of a chance for them to be able to maybe practice some of those social engagements that they don't get to practice too often with someone it is that they consider a professional, right? And then increasing those skills makes them more comfortable in doing that. And again, circling back to this theme of happiness, I think that comfort really does, initiate sort of a happiness cycle, if you will. If you're comfortable in a place, you're more likely to be happy in that place. If you're comfortable with a person, you're more likely to be happy with that person. And then, as we were sort of saying earlier, that formula for success, once you're happy and comfortable, then you can succeed, right? Then you can do well. And it also, going back to that comment, I might have derailed from my third topic, but that's okay. You were talking about the red pen. I think it actually switches that narrative too, because it's like, now you're not looking for the red marks, you're looking for the green checks, right? You're looking for, where did I do things right?
Oh, I like that.
I understand that this person that I've been able to interact with socially, that I've been sharing my own personal interests with, is not actually out to get me, is not trying to actively put red X's on my life. Instead, they're there to show me where I'm doing something well. So where's that green check? Where am I succeeding? And I think that changing that dynamic, don't come to my office with your problems, come to my social hours with your positivity, right? With your goodness, with your happiness, and the things that energize you. And I would love to share that with you.
I love this. I love this, Warren, because also, we're about educating the whole person here, right? We're going to kick them out into the world as a professional person, right? So I really like your strategies with this, because really what you're doing is you're giving them a gift that keeps on giving, or you're helping them to find the gift that keeps on giving. It's probably a better way to say it, right? Because I liked what you were saying about them being comfortable, and that led me to a place of, if we expand that into, we know that currently, this generation is one of the most, is the most anxious and depressed generation of young adults the United States has ever seen.
Absolutely.
So the work you're doing, when you're saying comfortable, if we even take it a step further, what's happening is anxiety is being reduced, especially with math. No offense to math.
No,
it just has this.
Right.
It's a thing, right? It's a stigma.
Yeah.
So you're reducing that, therefore, kind of clearing out the working memory, in order for new information to come in. That's the first thing, and the other thing is the fun. You use that word like 6 times. Learning math can be fun, Warren.
Yeah, and it's not worth doing if it's not fun.
There you go.
Right, and I will meet my students at that point. Like, you're absolutely right. If this is not fun for you, I don't want you to do it. How can I make this fun for you? Right? There's certain things that we have to do, right? There's curriculum, there's the math that you need to understand, but there's a way that you can understand that, there's a way that you can do this that it is fun, right? Not to get too mathy, but if I'm teaching statistics and I need to talk about, estimating a population average or something like that, it's like, okay, what population do you care about? What are some variables that might be interesting to you? Cycling back to my conversation about playing Magic the Gathering, I had a student determine when he was more likely to win at a Magic the Gathering game based on certain values.
That's so cool.
And he's like, I completely changed the way I play this game from what I learned in this class. I was like, great, I'm glad that you're willing to learn more so that you can play this game differently, right? So you're having fun with this mathematics. And that's sort of where I think that, my students often say, it's like, I don't know how I feel about math, but I see that you love it and it's infectious, right? And I was like, well, I'm going to come in with all that energy, and I hope that it does catch, right?
Oh, yeah. It's funny that you say that, Warren, because when people, sometimes you do like ice breaky things, even as grown-ups, right? And they'll say like, who's your favorite teacher ever? And for me, it was Mr. Serco, because he was like the Warren Sides of back in the prehistoric age, the Paleolithic era, when and it was physics, and he could have taught auto mechanics. He could have taught anything. I ended up falling in love with physics because of him.
Right.
He was witty, and he had a very flexible teaching style, much like you do, and he was engaging. He was engaging, and I think, the fact that I'm a fabulous 58 and remember that, because as they say, they say, it's not the content people remember. It's how they made you feel.
Right.
He made me feel empowered, like I could do it, and I had fun. So we're just jumping back in about the sort of power of storytelling, I guess. Because I'm bringing my cognitive stuff into it because I can't help it, right?
Right.
I want to say it's Stephen Schmidt, but anyway, the last name is Schmidt, who did research on this ages ago, with that whenever we can bring humor into something, it makes memory retention go up like 70%. I'm not looking at something, I'm not reading it. So like two-thirds anyway, conservatively, it goes up. So Warren was talking about telling stories about his kids, funny stories. Yeah. I was talking about baby goats jumping over the couch.
Yeah. And so like any good entertainment, there is sort of like an arc, right? A story arc, if you will. And so I'm pretty like deliberate with how I do that. Like, I know that there are certain times that certain points of the class are going to be dull, right? Those bottlenecks,
right. Yeah.
So when I have slides, or if I'm doing, I'll draw a funny picture, or I'll have like a meme or something that's on the board that's actually relevant to something that we've done before.
Right.
So like I kind of do like I'll give an example. When I talk about in statistics, like the way that we describe a distribution is through the shape, center, and spread. So I do this thing with my hands where I'm like a maestro, like directing the class.
Yeah.
And I have them sing along with me. It's like, okay, everybody, at the same time, how do we describe a distribution? And I maestro my hands, and they all say shape, center, and spread. And then halfway through the semester, when we have to bring that back up again, I was like, okay, so now we're going to describe this new distribution. And I use my hands, and they all say shape, center, and spread.
Oh, that's so cool.
And then, like, a little bit later in the semester, the slides come up, and there's a picture of a little maestro in the corner, and they're oh, we're describing a distribution. So that reoccurring theme comes up, and it's humorous, it's funny. I do a little mock of like, wow, that was the worst singing I've ever heard in my life. Like, I'm gonna go on tour with my other section because they responded better, something like that. And it becomes a competition. It's funny, but they will always, I hope, remember that we describe a distribution with shape, center, and spread, and we do our little hands, and everybody goes along. So I think that, being deliberate, like, yes, it should be off the cuff. Yes, it should be fun. Stories should be organic. But at the same time, there is a little bit of planning that goes into that, right?
Yes.
I'm not even exaggerating. I think that half of my job is acting, right? Being an actor. Like, you walk out in front of that stage and you put on that face and you're like, let's do this. And you engage with them and you sort of make it the best that you possibly can. And again, cycling back to our theme here, comfort leading to happiness, leading to success. I think that you're absolutely right. You started this off, that the formula is backwards. It's not success before happiness. It is happiness before success.
Yeah, I just want to plug Sean Aker, because that's where I got that from the Happiness Advantage, which I use on a course I teach, right? But definitely, we really think about that. We cannot achieve success, which is defined in a million different ways, right? Unless we are good with us.
Right. Yeah, and a moment of honesty here. It took me a while to realize that success meant something different for my students sometimes. Coming into a math class, like, I just need to get a C, and that's success for me. It's like, I can help you with that. And the student's like, I need an A. It's like, I can help you with that, right? And it's going to be different for everybody, and wherever you need to be is fine. But understanding that, just celebrating those accomplishments, going back to, again, something I said earlier, those green checks are way more exciting than those red X's.
Oh, no question.
And so knowing
in
that...
life, right?
In life. And yeah, just
totally
in general. It's a metaphor.
metaphorical.
Yeah, absolutely. Even if it's literal
It's
in my
more
math
motivating.
classes, but it is absolutely, yeah. So having them sort of tell me where I should be elevating the green check. Like when can I pat you on the back, and when should I say you need to do more? But also, again, like being able to interact with my students socially, I get that organically. It's not something that's like built into the class. It's just, I know you now. I can talk to you. You can talk to me. That's more important. And that also goes into the if I'm doing something in the class that's not working for them, or if I grade something and they don't understand why they got the grade, they feel way more comfortable sharing that with me. They're like, hey, Warren, not trying to be rude, but what the hell, what's going on here? Sorry. But
no, it's okay. I've heard it.
But like that. And I often tell us, like, I am so glad that you can talk to me like that,
Absolutely.
that you can share that with me. That means we're doing something right here. I was like, and let's move forward. Let's work with that. And oftentimes, maybe I did make a mistake. Like, I'm human. We do make mistakes. Sometimes I don't, but at least they can understand where I'm coming from because they're able to ask me that up front. And again, I think that's also life skills, building on success.
Yes.
It's moving past something. And you kind of brought it up, this generation and the anxiety. Sometimes it just stops them, right? It's not something like, well, I didn't feel right about that, but I kept moving forward. It's like, I didn't feel right about that, so I didn't do anything else afterwards. It's like, I think that I'm able to push past that point a little bit more by just, again, trying to make them comfortable, trying to make them feel happy in the space that I'm sharing with them.
There's really, I think, well, there's for both of us. There's also, which feeds into it, Warren, is the mentoring, because it's. It's like not. We're actually. How is it, like a walking the talk, or no? Walking.
Yeah.
Because you and I are both so relationship oriented, and with I think you said it. Connection before content.
Yeah.
With the relationships, I know this is true for you too, because I do a thing. I borrowed your social hours, 100%. That's what it says on my syllabus now.
That's great.
But also, I meet with them. Well, of course, whenever they need to, but also everybody automatically one-on-one midterms, and the other stuff that comes out when they come in. They might be watching a cat video, but it also is finding out if somebody's a first gen, whatever. The stuff, other stuff
right.
comes out when there is an established relationship,
which
can only benefit them by us knowing it. Do you know what I'm saying?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's the story, my student that comes in and says, I really struggled in this other class, not even my class, because the teacher doesn't do X, Y, and Z. And I was like, oh, I don't really do X, Y, and Z either. But now I know that, and I can sort of cater my class a little bit to add those elements to it. It's like, you're right, I could draw more pictures. Or you're right, I could take a minute for pause and contemplation. That would work, But it's just because they felt comfortable sharing that with me that now I know. And it's funny, and I don't want to push back. You talk about mentoring. I don't see it as mentoring. I think it is being able to hang out with cool people. Right?
Oh, totally.
Like I make that joke. I was like, why am I a college professor? Because I like hanging out with college students. Yeah.
Oh my God, I tell them that all the time. It's so weird you say that. I tell them that all the time.
Yeah.
Because this for me is my niche too, obviously, because young adults are just, they got it going on. I mean, they're enthusiastic. They're excited about changing the world, and
right.
and
things are still new.
Things are still new and exciting, totally. But the relationship thing, I think you and I together cannot say enough about that being the foundation for not only a rock solid education, because you're gonna be excited, right?
Right.
But to actually be successful, which is defined in a million different ways.
Yeah.
But are we in agreement? Like relationships is like
Absolutely.
90% of it.
Yeah, and in a way it's leveling, because the students that aren't overachievers will have the same benefit from that relationship as the students who are overachievers.
100%. I was gonna chill on that one.
Yeah, whether you get it or you don't get it, it doesn't matter. You can still have a meaningful relationship, and that transcends the sort of content of the classroom.
I was like a pump moment right there.
Yeah.
That was a total pump moment. I think that might even be a great place to wind up, Warren, unless you have any last minute.
No, I'm surprised that I was able to talk so much already.
But you know what? Because you and I, it was organic. We don't.
Yeah.
So the listeners can't see us. There is no script.
No.
We're just talking, and it's organic, and it's just because we both love teaching so much. And I will just say that we share a lot of the same students, and they say nothing but great things about Warren Sides.
They
nothing.
say great things about you too.
Oh, thank you very much. And I think largely for Warren, this is because, and I think in general, can't you just, passion is contagious.
Yes.
And even, like, if the person loves what they do, like I tell the story about my dentist, I won't go off on that. He loves what he does, and he's got a story from being a childhood and stuff. And you and I both love what we do, and they get that. So they're feeling the love, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
they're feeling that they matter to us.
Right.
It's huge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. So, great. I think this is a great place to sign off. So I just want to plug, you can listen to this also on the Mindcraft YouTube channel. You can just look that one up. It's under something. It's under Minecraft.
Yeah, look up Minecraft.
There you go. Or might throw my name in there or something. And that's it. So, Wave Riders, this is Kimberly Quinn and
Warren Sides.
signing off from the beautiful Champlain College campus. Have a mindful, happy day.